Greetings. This is going to be a health video. I am not a medical professional. I'm not sharing any medical professional advice. I am simply sharing my own personal health medical experience, and I'm allowed to share my own experience. This video is purely my own experience. I'm not giving medical advice. Very clearly, I am not sponsored by any of the products or any of the things that I'm going to talk about or share. This is a medical experience video. That being said, because I am what I am and I do what I do, there is channeling involved as well. So it's kind of a different take on things. Okay, so the first thing that came through was the song Dejalo. So it's Dejalo, so D-E-J-A-L-O by Hiatal. It means leave it or leave it alone. In the song, he goes back and forth between Spanish and English, so there's something here about Spanglish. Some of my, friends that are Mexican or Hispanic or Spanish could be learning English. Some people that are English could be working on Spanish, or you need to. That's coming up. Then God Gave Me You by Dave Barnes came through. I've been a walking heartache. I've made a mess of me. The person I've been lately ain't who I want to be. So that obviously is going to show up whenever there's health issues. Yeah, it's like, why am I not the person that I want to be? Why am I not who I'm meant to be? Well, likely there's something internally going on. The next thing, at the end of that song, he says, when I think I've lost my way, it's true, God gave me you. So it's like, anytime there's an irritant or there is something that's frustrating that's brought into your life, trust me when I say God brought it to you 100%. For your blessing and for your healing. Then the other song, the last song real quick, and then I'm going to get into the health part of this video, is the song Silence by Vega. So flowing silence is love, shared silence is friendship, vibrating silence is creation, expressed silence is beauty, maintained silence is strength, allowed silence is rest, received silence is joy. Are you drowning out the noise that surrounds you? Or are you drowning in the noises that surround you every day? At times, does it feel like you are losing your way? Are you tempted by the voices trying to lead us all astray? If your mind is out of tune, feel the silence. There is shelter, an oasis of your own. Come along, you'll find you are already home. All right, so I've dealt with like allergies, asthma, various things like this my entire life. It's been very frustrating for me. I taught hot yoga for 9 years. I'm certified in 4 different types of yoga. And I've always, whenever we really focus on diaphragmatic breathing and breathing exercises, I've done powerlifting competitions, Olympic lifting, pole dancing competitions. I've never danced in a club, never been a stripper, but I have done a competition. In all of my athletics and horseback riding and show jumping and horse shows, I've always had issues with being able to breathe properly. And I had my heart checked out a couple years ago. I was just told that it was asthma, and there are moments in time, like there are actual moments when I really can't breathe and I start wheezing and I panic, and it's terrifying. And inhalers never worked for me. None of those things ever worked for me. I know a couple of my food allergies. I've almost died in the hospital from anaphylactic shock to one of those IgE-mediated allergies. But what I didn't know about, and what I'm extremely angry about, just to be totally transparent, I am angry about the Western medicine procedure, like how things go. Because when you get allergy testing, they do not do MRT testing. And MRT testing is what I had done. It's with this elite program here. Again, I am not sponsored by any of this. I am simply sharing my experience. I'm not giving medical advice. Please see a health professional, but I am allowed to share my own freaking experience, and that's what I'm doing, because I promise it's gonna save some lives, because it saved mine. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but if you saw me a week ago and you see me today, A, I have insane robust energy, B, my skin is like perfectly clear, like see, I feel, you guys, I literally feel like I'm Jesus and I rose from the dead from last week to this week because of what I was experiencing. So if you have any experiences like, what does this say? Migraines, brain fog, ADD, ADHD, epilepsy, asthma, chronic headaches, migraines, depression, fibromyalgia, GERD, colitis, arthritis, joint pain, POS, irritable syndrome, Crohn's, any of these things, if you have any of these things, you likely have a mediated release. So the MRT is a mediator release test, and it's about your immune system's response to food sensitivities and chemical sensitivities. So these things will not show up when you go to your doctor and you get a typical, I did the skin prick test and I did IgE. I thought I did all the allergy testing, but I did not do MRT because no one in Western medicine told me to do MRT, and I had to do my own research after a terrifying experience that I had, where I again ended up in the emergency room, and again they saved my life. This is where I love Western medicine. Western medicine is amazing for acute procedures. Surgeries, procedures, the emergency room, yes. But as far as long-term health and actually dealing with food allergies and all of these issues that I mentioned off that list, no. So, okay, the MRT mediator release test. It is the most comprehensive and complete blood panel for food and food chemical sensitivities. And I can just say that from my experience, like basically you get these lists. I don't want to show you guys my results, but I'll just do a little quick thing like that. They give you this list and it shows like where you are. I'm going to cover the things. It shows what's red, what's yellow. So I just don't want people to know my allergies because it's no one's business but mine. But essentially it shows where your immune system is highly allergic and having like crazy responses, or it's not a technical allergy, but is highly food sensitive, which can show up precisely how allergies do. So in a medical term, it's not an allergy, but for all intents and purposes, it is an allergy because your immune system is having a huge response to it. So there are things where it's like you could eat something and you could feel like you're having anaphylaxis, but you're not. You're having an MRT blood-mediated release response to it. And when you go to an allergist, then it doesn't show up on the test and you're like, what the heck? So, okay, the other thing I'm going to be talking about is hiatal hernia. So a hiatal hernia is when a part of your stomach is not actually in your stomach anymore, but it literally like goes up into your, through your diaphragm into your chest cavity. So I found out from a food sensitivity, from a food experience that I was choking. It was a full-on terrifying experience. Thank you, the emergency room. I found out through this testing and through the endoscopy that I had a hiatal hernia and that I have certain, food sensitivities, allergies that weren't showing up on all of my previous years of allergy testing. Now, I'm going to give a plug to my chiropractor because there are very few chiropractors that do this when I've done deep study into it. But first of all, some people are born with hiatal hernias and others can be formed from stress or various trauma and impact accidents, etc. So a hiatal hernia is different than other hernias, as I said, because it's your stomach is getting trapped into your chest cavity. Now, this can mask itself as asthma, heart problems, depression, anxiety, not being able to breathe, having anaphylaxis to a food. When you're not, it's just the fact that your esophagus is trapped because your stomach is trapped up there. And so literally, it doesn't matter what you eat or not eating or anything, you're going to have extreme anxiety whenever, because there's different types of hiatal hernias. Mine was a sliding hernia. So there are times when it's worse and times when it's better, depending on where my stomach is in my throat. I've been having huge issues with just energy, brain fog, anxiety, just so many things going on and a lot of chest pain. And so I had my heart checked. They're like, your heart's fine, this, that, and the other, all these things, like all of your blood tests, like all of your scores are literally like perfect. Like every panel we do, Valerie's fine. You're just like, something's going on. And I was like, no, you guys are wrong. I know something is going on. So that led me to find LEAP and the MRT. So I'm currently on a LEAP diet. It is very strict. I do highly suggest to not just get the MRT test and then do what you will with the results. I highly suggest hiring a nutritionist that you actually go through this with, because there's a very specific way that you're supposed to reintroduce foods and that you're supposed to strip foods away, and there's a very specific process. And so I personally believe if you just get the MRT testing, sure, you could just avoid the foods that are in yellow and red and avoid the ones that are higher in the green category. However, if you actually get a proper person to work with you, a nutritionist to work with you, which I have a full support team that I've hired along with this, then they will actually help to where you can eventually occasionally have the yellows and the reds, so you don't have to totally close yourself off and be on such a limiting diet for the rest of your life. However, you do have to decrease your entire immune response load at the beginning. And so that's something, you know, so yeah, this is a hodgepodge of a video. But so with that, now what I am now going to give a plug for is my chiropractor, Joran Whitley at Oklahoma Chiropractic up in Edmond. Very few chiropractors do the maneuver, but a few days ago so I've seen Joran for a couple years. I was, in Florida riding horses professionally there for a bit, so couldn't see him during that time. Came back, had all these issues. Now, hiatal hernias grow over time. They just do. They obviously, in that case. Now, a hiatal hernia, as I said, it's your stomach getting trapped in your chest cavity through your diaphragm. So obviously, whenever, they say diaphragm breathe, you should push out into your stomach and not lift your chest. This has never been possible for me. In all my years of teaching yoga, I've always had issues with true breathing exercises. Now, everything that I've done in my life with yoga and whatnot has really helped manage and kind of mask the symptoms, but it never really got fixed. And so that's the other thing. It's like, if you're someone like me and you have attracted irritating people and blockages in your life for the last few years or the last 10 years or your entire life, if your entire life has been masked and issued with irritating people, irritating situations, irritating work situations, blockages, just irritations and blockages, it's because something in your body is being irritated and something in your body is blocked. And I can say this very firmly because when I had these things moved, not only did I manifest some huge, awesome changes in my life like that once those were released, but I literally woke up, I feel like a new person. Every day I'm like, I can't have coffee because I will say coffee is one of the things that I have like a small allergy to, or a small immune response to. It's not a technical allergy, so immune response to. I'm not really a consistent coffee person, but when I'm around my family, I tend to be because they always have coffee. Now, the thing with that is I don't even want caffeine or anything like that because I have so much freaking energy now that I've gotten the irritations out of my body and that I'm working on totally cleansing them out of my body. Now, back to Joran. I know I'm hopping around a lot. So Joran did this procedure where I had to breathe in. He would dig up underneath my rib cage here, and then I would exhale and he would push down. He only had to do it twice, and the second time I was able to relax enough for him to get deep enough, and he actually pushed my hernia out of my diaphragm and out of my chest cavity, and we both heard it. Literally, my stomach popped. Like, the look on my face. He said it. He was like, the look on your face was like sheer horror. Like, he was like, it was like the worst look, but he's like, I knew you'd be so much better. After that, like yesterday, I did 7.5 miles. I can't tell you guys the last time that I've felt okay to do 7.5 miles, like outside. I don't run, I don't walk, I exercise in various other ways because I've always dealt with asthma, but it wasn't asthma. It was that I had a hiatal hernia. My stomach was trapped in my chest cavity. Now, this is a lot more common. I think it's like 30%. There's like a high percentage of people will develop this over time from posture, trauma, it running in the family, hernias running in the family, or stress. Any of these things make you highly susceptible for parts of your stomach to start getting absorbed up. So if you have any issues of like asthma, chest pain, things, again, I am not a doctor, I'm sharing my own freaking experience and I'm allowed to do that. So in my experience, and also from what I've read, which is only medicalpapers.gov, like actual medical research, is that over 30% of people will develop this over time because of any of those things. Now, I've looked online and there have been chiropractors that are like, yeah, we do the maneuver, we had to do it 7-8 times. No, you want to get someone like Joran who will do it right the first time and who will actually get to the root of the issue. You guys, since I had just that done alone, it was night and day. I also go to acupuncture every week. I go to Harmony Healing. It is an amazing acupuncturist, Dr. Guman. He is a god. He really is. I truly believe that because I've seen the miracles that he's performed not only in my life but others' lives. If you haven't gone to acupuncture, I highly recommend it, but personally, I would never let an acupuncturist touch me. I'm sorry, I may be biased, I am biased, but I'm just gonna be honest, unless they're older than like 50 and they're Indian. That's just how I feel. That's just how I feel, because I've also met people and have friends who have like lost their period and have had an array of horrible things happen to them because they got acupuncture from their good old yoga friend who just got acupuncture certified a couple years ago. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but not all acupuncturists are the same. And the same with chiropractors. Not all chiropractors are the same. So do your research and make sure that you're going to someone who's been practicing for decades and who really, really has done their work. Like my acupuncturist, Dr. Greenman, like he was a surgeon before. So things like that are, you know, it's like, that's stuff that I am like, you know, it's important to me because it's my health. So highly recommend those two companies. I'm just giving plugs for their businesses. So see, this is like a review. This is kind of a review for them because honestly, that alone made a huge difference. But if I hadn't also gotten the MRT testing to go through with a nutritionist, specifically what my diet needs to be for the next 2 to 3 months for me to not just heal my gut permeability, but for me to calm my entire inflammation and immune response. I've already lost like 15 pounds and I feel better and everything is better. Now, I'm going to talk about the supplements that I like. Again, I'm not sponsored by anything. I'm simply sharing my experience, which I'm allowed to do. And I'm going to say that probably 10 more times in this video. So I believe in taking colostrum. I take it by Ancestral Supplements. It is pasture raised. It's important that they're not having corn, things like that. This is pasture raised in New Zealand. It is 100% grass-fed colostrum. It is free of all hormones, pesticides, GMO, absolutely no fillers, no flow agents. It's literally just colostrum. Now, even if you showed up as like milk sensitive, which I'm not, milk and cheese actually were like those things. Dairy and meat were fine for me, which with my blood type, it makes sense because the B positive blood type originated in the Himalayas, and in the Himalayas, it's a very like ghee, certain cheeses and meat heavy environment. Now, funny enough, I like can't eat basically all fruit and over half of vegetables. And so I also just want to say, when people think like, oh, you need fruits and vegetables, some people, it's not healthy with their blood. It's not healthy because the MRT is a mediator release test for your bloodstream, and different blood types. This is my next plug. If you don't know your blood type, please know your blood type, because if you don't know your blood type and you have any of these issues, migraines, brain fog, ADD, ADHD, epilepsy, asthma, metabolic syndrome, Crohn's, CVS, IBS, cystitis, POS, arthritis, joint pain, colitis, GERD, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety. If you have any of these symptoms, I promise you that the MRT will help. I'm not saying it's going to heal things because I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that, but I'm sharing from my experience. It will help tremendously, or it could completely dissolve the things altogether. I've had zero anxiety. I've had so much energy. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm like, I just want to go running. I just want to do all the things because I feel like I was just given my life back. I literally feel like I was given my life back. Now, colostrum helps heal the gut permeability. It helps heal your gut lining. It also helps just your entire body. I mean, colostrum is essentially what is given only in mother's milk right when a baby is born. It's so potent, it's so healing, it's amazing. I also take collagen every day, collagen peptides. I don't have that with me right here, but I do take a full dose of collagen peptides, so I am getting a full amino acid protein profile, especially while I'm on a restricted diet, but I believe in taking that anyway. I will never get Botox. I am all natural. I say that to the ends and outs. It's on my profile, it's on everything. I am all natural always. And a part of that, collagen and colostrum help your skin. I'm in my 30s, and whenever people see me, they're like, what? Or they're like, what? Have you had work done? No, I would never. But you know what? I take care of myself, and I'm taking care of myself even better now because of these things that I've experienced. Now, Equilib is my favorite multivitamin. Again, I'm not sponsored by anything. I'm simply sharing these things. The thing with Equilib, though, is it has methylfolate, and all of the vitamins in it are chelated. It helps fight free radical damage to brain cells and tissues. It's been scientifically proven to help with people like strokes, after having strokes, if you have a history of that in your family, Alzheimer's, if you have history of anything with the brain or the nervous system or autoimmune in your family, Equilib should be the vitamin that you take. Now, I will say my health provider who told me to take this, I get it on Amazon. It's extremely expensive, but I promise you it's worth it. There's a ton in this bottle. Now, my health provider personally, and what I do, I'm not telling you guys to do this, I'm saying what I do, is it is very potent and it can create anxiety if you just start with the dose of 4 or 6 capsules a day. Now, she had me start 1 in the morning on day 1. Day 2, you do 1 in the morning and 1 at night. Day 3, you do 2 in the morning and 1 at night. Day 4, you do 2 in the morning and 2 at night. So essentially you take in the morning and the evening and you build up. Some people, if you don't have any certain, things, you can just work up to 2 in the morning and 2 at night and call it good. Like if you just want to take it as a vitamin, you can work up to 2 in the morning and 2 at night. And if you aren't sensitive, maybe you don't need to slowly go up like that, but I know that that's what worked for me, and that's what my health provider suggested. It's called Equilib. Equilib. E-Q-U-I-L-I-B. Equilib. Again, it's incredible, amazing. Like, I love this stuff so much. And when I don't take it, I notice it. I do have to just say, I have had a traumatic brain injury from a car accident. The HARP, huge healing instrument for me, literally instrument, but for my body as well. But I do have to say Equilib is what really helped me get my brain back. Next is thymus. So I am prone to asthma and things like that anyway, just with everything going on. Although it's too soon to tell, but I honestly don't feel like I'm gonna have that experience. But thymus, like your thymus is around your chest cavity, helps with your like diaphragm, your breathing. It kind of brings like everything together, lungs, diaphragm, chest, everything. A lot of people don't think about their thymus. They kind of underscore it. But if you deal with asthma or allergies, highly recommend taking thymus. Again, I'm just sharing my own experience. Please see a health professional before starting any new regimen, although technically these are all just vitamins, so it's fine. This is ovine thymus, so it is from lamb rather than cow or anything like that. Now, I also do take beef liver. I do take a very small amount of it because I am slightly reactive. It didn't show up as a full reactive, but I'm slightly reactive to beef, so I am low on, like, I kind of lower my intake on beef, even though I do still like it and enjoy it. What's best for me is pork and lamb, venison, chicken, things like that. Although I will say with the colostrum, even if you are like, you have issues with milk and things like that and you're dairy free, this colostrum is still okay because it doesn't have the same properties or proteins or whatever as like milk and whatnot. So it is safe for that. So colostrum, collagen, Equilib, thymus, and liver. Highly love those things. I also take ascorbic acid for my vitamin C from Pure Encapsulation. It again is chelated and it's more absorbable, so I am a firm believer on that. I used to not have enough vitamin D. Obviously, if you have any allergy issues or things like this first, I would say the first thing is to get the MRT, the mediator release test, blood, IgE, and skin prick if you need all of it. But if you can only do one, I honestly would just say IgE so you know what you would have an anaphylactic reaction to, and the MRT, so I guess 2. Because the MRT test, mediator release test, is really, I mean, it's the most complete blood test for food and food chemical sensitivities. Literally, that is what it is known for. It is incredibly effective, and it allows you to slowly go back to eating all the foods that you love, so you don't have to eat a restricted diet for the rest of your life, but you do have to measure and know your levels. And so what this program and what this eating thing does is it kind of gets you to know and learn, all right, how much can I consume of this, how much can I consume of that before I need to stop, because that is my personal immune system's response where, okay, all of a sudden, like, I can have 1 piece of pizza, but if I have 2 or 3 pieces of pizza, it might start reacting like an anaphylactic reaction. Well, how come if I had 1 piece of pizza, it didn't show up as an anaphylactic reaction, but others did? Because it's a mediator release allergy or immune response, not allergy. And so a lot of people can have food sensitivities like this. Again, it's just like huge for me in that way. But the last thing I want to say before I top off this video is, again, as I was saying at the beginning, irritating people, blockages. If you're having irritations in your life or blockages in your life, it starts with your own internal organs. You guys, as soon as Joran moved my stomach back into its normal position, I can breathe like into my diaphragm properly now. Like, I could cry. I can actually take a full breath. I've never experienced what that feels. Every time that I've ever had to deeply breathe, it always is in my chest. So that's the next thing I want to say, is if you've ever been someone that it's difficult for you to understand breathing into your stomach, and you've had any of the symptoms that I've described that were my personal experience, it might be worth it for you to check out if you have a hiatal hernia. A lot of them go undiagnosed. Most of them go undiagnosed unless you have an endoscopy, or unless you have like barium swallow test or things like this. But your chiropractor can also, if you have a good one, can kind of tell by pushing and feeling around if they actually know the human body, which is why I say not all chiropractors and acupuncturists are the same. This is just my personal experience. I have to say though, going to chiro weekly, once your body's in alignment, things can flow. Acupuncture, things can flow. As we know, when you dam up water, then it's standing water. And what does standing water do? It breeds dis-ease. That's just law. So a lot of dis-ease in the human body is because you have blockages in your body that have not been addressed. You have irritations in your body that have not been addressed. In fact, I also personally believe that like you can stress your body out enough from the sensitivities that would create the hiatal hernia, that would create certain things like this. Again, hiatal hernia is when your stomach gets, like a part of your stomach gets trapped into the chest cavity. Your stomach's not supposed to be in your chest cavity. There's literally like a tight hole there. I learned a lot about human anatomy with all the doctors I've been to, but seriously, I can't say enough how having the hiatal hernia procedure, and he may, I hopefully he'll never have to do it again, but it's one of those things where it's always possible to go up there. So again, I just want to share my experience. I feel like brand new. I haven't even really like deeply gone into this because I had to do a whole different liquid crazy diet with what I was dealing with initially, which is what brought me into all of this. But I am so excited to do part 2 of this video in a few weeks, whenever I'm actually near the end of this protocol and I can share all of my experience. The other things that I want to say are just supportive literature is theta healing. I love theta healing. This book is incredible. Diseases and Disorders, Theta Healing by Vienna Stibble. Theta healing is also like a module, I guess you could say. It's a healing module. Very, very effective. I can't even begin to explain the amount of like healing crises that I've, like just miracles that I've experienced through doing theta healing. So theta healing kind of goes through belief work. It goes to intuitive remedies. It will also tell you the causes of things. It has literally like every sickness known to man in this. I mean, seriously, it goes through like fungus, bacteria, metals, parasites, viruses, yeast, cancer, Alzheimer's, sickle cell, aging, Addison's. I mean, literally, there's just pages and pages. Kidney, lead poisoning, teeth, I mean, it literally goes through the entire body. Renal stuff, obesity, narcolepsy, nervous system, just like, literally, like everything. Literally, insect bites, coma, like every time I have any little thing like hives, say you break out in hives, then you can go to hives and you can see like what is the thing with hives. I literally just did hives. Hives is on page 221. So for hives, for example, when there's an allergic reaction to a substance, histamine and other chemicals are released into your bloodstream, causing itching, swelling, and other symptoms. So this can also not necessarily be an allergic response. It can be an MRT, immune response. So when you go to the doctor, they're like, no, you're not allergic to it, you're not allergic to it, but they're not doing the MRT test on you, and the MRT test will show that your immune system in your blood is having an immune response that is identical to an allergic reaction, but the scientific thing is that it's an immune response. Anywho, so causes, basically just says all the things that can trigger them. Now, in it will say like belief work. So it says the things to download. I know how to live my day-to-day life without resenting others. I know how to live my life without being pushed. I know how to say no. I know how to use my words well. I know how to live my life day-to-day, taking good care of my body. I know how to live my life without exposing myself to irritating people. So irritations, but when I know what it feels like to live without being irritated by myself. It tells you like supplements that are good for hives, ALA, quercetin, vitamin B complexes, vitamin C, and higher doses. Please see a doctor before you take over 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Same with vitamin D. It's really important that you actually get your vitamin D levels checked before you start supplementing with vitamin D, because you can have toxicity to it if you just start taking vitamin D, because you're like, everyone needs to take vitamin D. It's important to just get these things checked. In fact, I feel like it's just important. You can find this on Groupon. You can find a blood panel test on Groupon. I found a comprehensive blood panel test before I came back here a couple months ago and I moved. I was like, I just need to get like a full blood panel, get everything checked. And I found one on Groupon that was like $30. So you can find things on Groupon, you can find ways, you can find labs that will do cheaper comprehensive testing. If you're like, Valerie, I can't afford all these things. It's important to do those things so you know. But basically this book goes through downloads, belief systems, intuitive remedies. It says go and like witness the creator bringing your body back into balance so that it does not react as severely. There is an energy of really like, health is holistic. So it's mind, body, spirit. And you know, a lot of people that aren't woo-woo will address the physical, but they're not addressing the belief system, and they're not addressing the intuitive system and the spiritual system. And that's what I love about Theta healing, is because it allows you to fully holistically heal something. The next book that I want to give a plug to is The Body Keeps the Score. I've read this book multiple times. Bessel van der Kolk, incredible. This book actually shares just how important playing a musical instrument is for healing. I feel like it's one of those things that not enough people know how to play. You don't have to be, you guys, you don't have to learn how to be great at a musical instrument, but it raises your IQ, it raises your health, it raises your immune system strength, it raises so many things, it helps with like there's just so many things that playing, not listening is helpful, can't be electronic though, you have to actually be in the room with actual musical instruments, but it's way more powerful to learn how to play an instrument, and it's so much better for your body. When I started playing the harp, my health in so many ways just skyrocketed. And I do have to say, you know, obviously I am biased to the harp, but I did a harp therapy online school program, and in one of the textbooks that we had, it talks about all of the studies that are done where there were people who had MS or who have MS and Parkinson's, and if they played their harp every single day for 20 minutes, they were symptom-free. Literally symptom-free, but they had to play every single day for 20 minutes, and I believe the person with MS played in the or with Parkinson's played in the morning and in the evening. But when they played in the morning and in the evening, you only need 20 minutes for the immune system to kind of lock in. Again, I'm not a medical professional, I'm simply sharing the information from the textbook in the school program that I did, and I can share, so I'm sharing. People don't know these things, and people need to know these things, because it is incredible what is available to us, and yet what we are not allowed to see that is truly available to us. The next book I want to say is The Artist's Way, kind of is like a little adult workbook, so to speak, by Julia Cameron, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. It is really powerful to kind of tap you back into your creativity and kind of get you out of any ruts. So with that being said, I love you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. Again, I am going to do a part 2 to this video. Again, just to say, for the millionth time, I'm not a health professional, but I am allowed to share my experience. And so I just wanted to share my experience with the hiatal hernia being literally moved and completely unlocked and released, which I can take. My stomach just made a noise there because I breathed in and my stomach moved instead of my chest cavity moving. I haven't had any chest pain. I haven't had any issues. Like I said, I was able to do like 7.5 miles yesterday. I can't even remember the last time that would even feel good. Like, I know I'm muscularly and like aerobically fit enough for that because I do work out, but I never felt right in my chest or my breathing. Like, all of a sudden I'd be like, I can't breathe. It's insane. Just after that, just after having my hiatal hernia actually moved and lodged out of my chest cavity and back into place where it's supposed to be. So many things. And I also believe that a lot of my MRT results are going to be different now that my stomach is no longer in my esophagus, in my chest cavity. So when I'm eating food, it's actually going down and through everything. It can actually be digested where it's supposed to, and it's not going into my bloodstream, which whenever foods get into your bloodstream when they're not supposed to, that is what causes a mediator release response, an immune response, is when we have permeability in our gut and things are either breaking through, or some people are like, but I have an iron gut. Why am I still having these issues? Well, you could be like me. You might have a hiatal hernia hernia, that there's a potential for that, because I never thought that would have been a thing. But I'm like pissed that that wasn't looked at initially, because hernia, like organs don't show up on x-rays. So it's frustrating because you can be like, no, my x-rays are fine. Well, guess what? Your internal organs aren't going to show up on that. Like soft tissue isn't going to show up on that. So it's just one of those things where, again, really wanted to share that experience, because after having that addressed, insane, and also after learning about what my MRT food sensitivities are, and just being on a few days of that diet and learning, like I said, my skin looks amazing. I feel like 10 years younger, just so many things. And so I wanted to share my experience in case this could help anyone. All right, I love you guys. Again, message me if you would like a personal reading or if you have any questions.